June 24th, 2020, Rotoball patch compound. I'm going to do a quick look at the patch before we start talking about everything. Starting to fill in nicely. Got some decent sized plants. Squash vine borer traps are out. Stop at the top of the key like normal. Mommy carrot's pretty solid. We got a crack on her, but otherwise pretty healthy carrot. Crisp brown sunflower, getting taller, looking better. Brian Reeb sunflowers down through the side there. They look really nice. Tickle with those. They're probably, biggest one's probably 30 inches or so. First 2145, solid plant. That's the plant that had the ribbon vine. You can see that hardly any secondaries. The first 3-4 foot from distal area of the stump here. A couple secondaries rolling off there. I'm going to train some tertiaries to fill in some space and wrapping that secondary, try to fill in space. Otherwise, plant was normal as soon as she snapped out of it. But I have a big hole back here that I'm going to have to fill in. We'll get to that. It'll happen. Stump is already getting pretty good size. Get my hand where a person can see it. Pretty good size stump. Healthy stump. Splits early, that's normal. Squash vine borer trap, like I said. Nothing in it yet that I can hear. I'll check it later. It's a little bit early, but better early than late on bugs. Second 2145, looking great. Stump's a little bit smaller on this plant. I believe I have a nitrogen deficiency. Test results show that. I think I might test this plant as well, just to see if it's an uptake thing. See if it's plant specific. Try to see what's going on here. Otherwise, plant's massive. You know, it's not keeping up with Ron Wallace, but I'm almost hanging out with Shannon Lear, which is not great considering he's probably 300 miles north of me. And his foliage is a lot more dense. My foliage is not as dense, which I kind of prefer it this way, less likely to get disease. It's not like you can choose it or not choose it. If you can, I don't know. Cecil might know, I don't know. Pumpkin set, looking good. This was first pollination. She was done on the 10th, so that makes her 14 days old. Little buddy over here was done on the 14th, which makes her 10 days old. Maybe let me see if I can start that over. 14 days old, 10 days old, makes sense. This one's gonna come off of here. I got a few little scars. I think that's from my children, to be honest with you. I'm not gonna call them out on it. I'm just gonna tell them to be a little bit more careful. Pumpkin's a little lopsided. It's a 4-lober. Nasty stem split. I'm not worried about the stem split. I get those and we can deal with them as they come. Matter of fact, this one has a pretty nasty stem split as well. Not worried about it. Wish it was on the side as opposed to the top. I do cover with the table though, so that will help. This is a nice 5-lober. This is our keeper. This little devil's coming off later today. Our other 2145 has 2 pumpkins, maybe 2.5 set on it. This is our first set. It's 3 days old. You can see it's developing. I believe it took. This set was yesterday. It's a nice, beautiful 5-lober I posted a picture of. Super happy with it. I'm gonna start training this vine to accommodate that pumpkin and start pulling the kink out of this one. This was a 4-lober, but it was a nice pumpkin. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. This is a volunteer today. I didn't pollinate it. The bees must have. Of course, it's a nice, sexy 5-lober. Wouldn't you know it? But it's a side vine. Not that there's anything wrong with side vines. They grow big pumpkins as well, but I'm gonna try to keep it on the main. We're probably setting 20 to 22 foot on the keeper here. This keeper, I don't know, 24, 26. I got so many S-curves in this miserable thing at this point. You're gonna have to have a calculus degree to figure out what kind of distance I am from the stump. Carrots are looking great. My middle carrot, the big carrot, did go to seed, which is a daggone shame. This is what they look like when they go to seed. And I've got seed pods everywhere. I thought I'd be cool and try to pinch off the seeds and squeeze a little bit more life out of this, but I don't think there's any pinching them off. Smaller carrot looks great. It's really starting to come in its own. And the one that I thought would be the massive carrot, daddy carrot, still pretty solid. Multiple heads. This is one carrot, and you can see that my hand is across it with multiple heads. My big carrot is, let me see if I can sneak my hand in there. It is, I don't know, this daggone thing is at the crown 6 to 8 inches across, probably would be a guess. I'd say 6. I think 8 would be awfully generous. If it was trout inches, daggone carrot's 9 inches long. 126.5 Pierpont squash. She's looking good, starting to stretch out nicely. Got some secondary vines, running them under the board. Took off a few of the early secondary vines to give a stump a little bit of breathing room. We did have a squash one here somewhere. Oh, here he is. Nice green squash. That's I believe this to be a true green squash, which are tough to come by. By all means, Matt, if I'm wrong, let me know. My 150 patch contestant, the 1347.5 rotoball. Good looking plant. Running the secondary towards the end here. I got this little space to fill. She's almost, the tip is almost to the length of where it needs to be within its boundaries. So I have a ton of area for this plant. This is going to be fun. I'll be pollinating this bad boy probably middle of July, maybe even late July, who knows. Not going to give them a ton of care, you know. I hate to be, you know, that way, but to be honest with you, I'm going to bury vines and I'm going to water them and take care of them, but they aren't, either of these or neither of these rather are something that I'm going to put crazy effort into compared to my 2145s up the hill. From here against the house, you can see this goofy trellis I built. And I'm just waiting for that to storm to knock a hole in the window. But you know, I can thank my buddy Mr. J.O. for sending me the long gourd seeds. I thought, well, I'll give it a try. They probably won't germinate. Of course, they all germinated. And now I got to put up with dealing with long gourds and to build a trellis. Yeah, why not, man? It's a good time. Overall, super pleased. This 2145 solid plant behind the pumpkin. We should have, I'm just going to double it up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 20 secondaries or so. 20, 22 secondaries would be a guess. Pulled off a couple early leaves. A couple of the other early leaves are starting to look a little rough. That's normal for me for whatever reason. My leaves don't have a whole lot of life. End up having to have tertiary growth to get me through the end of the season, but I spray a lot of chemicals. I'm hard on them, you know. That's hard on your foliage and keeps your plants healthy in regards to pressure from insects and fungi, which is probably my biggest problem, but totally worth it. Thanks for looking, guys. Sorry it took long to get a patch video going. Trying to get one sooner next go around. See you at the scales. Doc out.